Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got a new trailer at PlayStation State of Play, and man, does it look amazing. But before we start talking about that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to also follow us on Twitch. We are trying to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, so definitely all your subscriptions does help out. Also share the channel if you like what we do. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer. Before I get into this, if you haven't played or beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, I recommend not watching the video. I will go and talk about some spoilers that happen in Remake, so definitely don't watch the video if you don't want to be spoiled. Now, if you don't care about being spoiled, then by all means, go ahead and watch the video, but we will be talking about some spoilers here. So let's get started. So the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer came out, and man, a bunch of stuff was shown off. We got to see Juno. It looks like we got to see the weapons as well, which is kind of weird because I don't believe that section even happens in the second disc. Basically, the Rebirth is kind of confirmed that everything that's going to go on in this is pretty much everything that went on in the second disc, which is quite a lot because it's also going to finish off the stuff that went on in the first disc. Because if you remember, Remake ended at Midgar and that's it. We did not go out into the open world or the open field. So there's a lot of stuff missing from that first disc that didn't happen. Combining both the ending of the first disc and all of the second disc, Square Enix is saying that this will be 100 hours of gameplay, which is ridiculous because Remake only had about, what, 30-ish hours, give or take, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on how fast you went about it. But it only had about that amount of gameplay, versus Rebirth is going to have more than triple that, which is pretty crazy. The open world areas are going to be actually open world, which is, I guess, good, maybe if it's well done. You guys know that I'm not a huge fan of open world games. If it's done correctly, I will love them, like Ghost of Tsushima, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, games like that. As long as it's not like Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, or Valhalla, I will enjoy this Final Fantasy game. Now, we do see some returning characters, which is nice. Again, spoilers, if you don't want to know about what's in the Rebirth trailer, then definitely don't go ahead and watch this. But they did show off characters that we are going to get, with one of them actually absent. At least I didn't get to see it in the trailer. But we got to see Vincent. Yes, Vincent was shown off, which is pretty awesome. I don't know if he's going to be a side quest or if he's going to be part of the main story, but I do like that they did show him off. I assume he'll probably be part of the main story, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, Yuffie, which we did get that DLC for Final Fantasy Remake on the PS5, is going to be joining your party. Cat She, which I just found out is actually pronounced Cat She, not Kate Sif. But yeah, Cat She is going to also be a character that we will be getting, of course, because Golden Saucer is going to be there. But like I mentioned, we didn't get to see one character, and that's Sid. For whatever reason, we have not seen Sid. Maybe they're going to show him off later on at a later trailer. We don't know. I've heard people say that they think they've seen Sid, but we don't know. We haven't confirmed that yet. So we'll have to wait and see if they do show off Sid, or if they're just going to wait and put him on the disc 3, or not disc 3, but on the third game. Now, speaking of the Golden Saucer, they did show off the minigames for the Golden Saucer, and man, they look a lot of fun. Chocobo Racing's coming back. We did get to see that. We also got to see the motorcycle mini game. We saw a fighting game, which looks really, really cool because basically the fighting game has the characters in a polygon form. So you can see Cloud as a polygon, and then they have like soldiers as polygon. A good callback to the original Final Fantasy VII with their little, I don't even know what you would call that design, but the way they were designed in Final Fantasy VII original, I do like that callback. A lot of nostalgia there. But yeah, Golden Saucer is going to be packed with a lot of stuff. I guess this is going to lead up to chocobo breeding and being able to go ahead and breed, you know, the white chocobo, being able to fly, maybe get Knights of the Round. Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see what's going to be going on here. We did see some more gameplay of Cloud as well, with that flashback with Cloud and Sephiroth. It looks like that's going to be a little bit longer. It's not just going to be a little segment that was happening in the first disc. Now, it's going to be a little bit longer. You will actually be able to play as both Cloud and Sephiroth in battle, which is going to be pretty cool. This is going to be the first time you get to play as Sephiroth, so I'm super excited about that. But yes, you will be able to play as Sephiroth. Now, they did show a lot of Zack stuff too, but they didn't show gameplay of Zack. And one of the biggest theories is, will you play as Zack as well? To me, that kind of makes sense. If you're going to have 100 hours of gameplay, I think there's going to be some transition of you going back and playing as Zack and then going back and play as Cloud. We do know that Zack is in an alternate reality. Again, The ending of Remake shows off that there are two different timelines or realities, one where Zack lived, and of course the Remake timeline, or the now Cloud timeline, where Zack died. So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna happen. Aerith seems to be able to know about this, and she can feel Zack. At least that's what it made it look like at the end of Remake. So I'm very interested in this. They did show off a little cutscene where Zack gives Cloud to somebody and says, "Here, can you take care of my friend while I go and do something?" So I'm really interested to see if we're gonna have Zack gameplay. I hope so. I mean, I feel like the reason we got a Crisis Core remake was because they wanted to kind of like play around with Zack's gameplay style and kind of have all those movements already set. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Square Enix also did announce where the game will stop, and it will stop at, I believe it's called the Valley of the Ancients, or is it the Fallen Ruins? I forgot what the name of the place is, but we all know where it's at, or what happens with Aerith, at least what we think is going to happen to Aerith, because there's still some theories that people think that Aerith's actually going to live in this game. I'm curious to see what happens. What if Cloud dies and Zack takes over? Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be in an uproar if Cloud were to die instead of Aerith. I'm very curious to see what happens there. I personally don't hope that they keep Aerith alive. I would prefer Aerith to just go ahead and die and we can continue on. But I guess we'll wait and see what happens. Another thing to point out is Nomura did say that the events that happened in the original game are not going to be in the same order as in the remake. Meaning that as we progress through the remake, or Rebirth rather, the events that are actually lining up will be in different order, which is kind of interesting to see how that goes. I guess that's a good thing because Rebirth is, again, we all know it's a reimagined version of Final Fantasy VII, or actually a sequel. I personally say it's a sequel to Final Fantasy VII because the original timeline still exists, but this is almost like an alternate reality where the original 7 looks like to happen, and maybe Sephiroth knows that happened, so he just somehow, I don't know, went to a different dimension and found this world that hasn't happened yet, and is like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and win this fight over here. But it is kind of neat that they're changing out the format of Rebirth, which is cool, right? Because they're going to be in different orders, meaning that we're not going to expect things to happen like they did. So I'm very excited to see that. There is one negative I do want to say about Rebirth, which I think is really dumb, and that is your save file from Remake will not transfer to Rebirth. Yes, it will not transfer. I think that is the dumbest thing ever. Why? Well, because this has been done in the past. You guys know that I'm a big fan of the Dot Hack games by CyberConnect, and they were able to make it so that you can go ahead and transfer your save data from, volume 1 to volume 2, and they scaled the game properly. Of course, volume 1 would have a level cap. When you start volume 2, you couldn't be as high as that level cap. And of course, the balances were adjusted. You did have, your equipment transferred over and so forth. So this could have been done. I don't know why they didn't do this, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I won't mind. Like, to me, I don't care. I'm gonna buy Rebirth anyways. Whether I had it or not, I don't care. I really wish it did, because I did put out a lot of work, and I was like, oh wow, like, my data is gonna transfer. That was my thoughts. Like, my data is gonna transfer to the next game, so let me go ahead and get as many equipment, as good of equipment as possible, so then I don't have to worry about it in the next game. Well, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, that was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, coming out February 29th next year. Man, I am super excited to play this game. I cannot wait. I'm actually more excited to play this game than I was with Final Fantasy 16. No offense to Final Fantasy 16 fans, but I think this is Final Fantasy. Like, I feel that Final Fantasy should keep this battle system and move forward, because it feels more like an RPG. You have your stats, you have your equipment. There's a lot going on, and there's still a lot of strategy, where 16 just felt like Devil May Cry with some RPG elements added to it. And even then, the RPG elements they're pretty much non-existent. The equipment didn't matter, none of that stuff really mattered. So yeah, but this is not a Final Fantasy 16 rant. This is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, coming out February 29th. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are trying to hit 500 subscribers, and we are so close. If you do like this video, go ahead and share it as well, because that will help us out to hit that goal. My name is James. I'll see you guys next time.